Hello. Okay. All right. Last video I was talking about what happens to fanaticism. My first video I said I hate fanaticism because it creates an us versus them mindset. And its solution is always that we get rid of these other people. Feminism, we get rid of the patriarchy and male privilege. Nazis get rid of the Jews. Communists get rid of the capitalists. And what ends up happening is it focuses so much on getting rid of the out group, yet it's done in a way that ignores everything that's happening within the in group. And once the group, annihilates the out group and contains absolute dominance, what happens is you get a bunch of people who joined a movement, a group, as a way to project their problems onto another, their emotional problems, or their flaws, or a bunch of people who want to give justification to their moral failings, such as say that the urge to tear someone down to build themselves up, and get cheap self-esteem through association, that you end up by eliminating the out-group and only having the in-group left. You will have a bunch of people with problems who have grown used to eliminating other things or other people, who will turn on each other and split civil war ad nauseum. The other problem is fanaticism always says it's always someone else's fault. It does not encourage looking outward, looking inward. It always encourages looking outward. Now, with 2016 election, you see both sides not looking inward to their party and not willing to clean up the corruption within their parties. They just hand wave it, dismiss it, or just don't care. Yet the same things they're doing, the out group maybe they criticize for. So you end up having a dysfunctional group. And when you have dysfunction in a group, when you have corruption, when you have predatory leaders, and people who just don't make very short-sighted decisions, leads to eventual collapse of the group and collapse of the movement, which leads back to instability and thus creating the cycle all over again. This has been happening for a long time. When the Christians came along, they said if we get rid of all the Roman culture and establish Christianity, everything will be perfect. Then we had science come along and say if we just get rid of Christianity, install atheism, get rid of all these other people, everything will be perfect. Communism comes along, if we get rid of all these capitalists, everything will be perfect. Nazis come along, if we get rid of all these people, everything would be perfect. It seems like every time in this cycle of mass movement, dominant annihilation, dominant civil war, corruption, collapse, the promise is never fulfilled. Why? Here's why. The nature of fanaticism is to create the inability to look inward and correct problems either within the group or correct problems within the members of the group. And most members are attached to this idea that gave rise to fanaticism is because it does not encourage inward looking. It tells them to look outward. It tells them to allow them to project all their problems on an out group. and nothing gets resolved. Here's why we have a lot. So here's my solution. You may have noticed that in some of these feminazis, SJWs, white supremacists, that the ones who are the most adamant about being what they claim to be, if you dig a little further in the surface, you realize there's some kind of emotional problem, some emotional need not being met. There's some kind of imbalance. Now, imbalance. What would happen if these balances were corrected? Well, go visit an insane asylum sometime. Go visit a place where a mental hospital. Look how on edge the staff is. They don't like being around there because they don't know what these people are going to do. And because they don't know what to do, a structure is built to control these people. Now go to some place where you have a lot of people who are completely sane. There is no structure. There is no government. Everything works. So the key, it seems, what happens within you emotionally determines how you feel. How you feel determines how you act. How you act determines how others feel. How others feel determines how they act. And how they act and go on. So the root, my solution is, instead of trying to fix the world through all these ideologies, we should do the following. One, we should stop listening to labels. We should stop focusing on libertarian. We should stop focusing on liberal. We should stop focusing. Let's just reclassify them. Any from crazy making ideas and ideas that don't make crazy. First sign that you are making an idea that is crazy making is an us versus them paradigm. Once we reclassify, we can focus on getting rid of the bad ideas that make people insane. The second thing is we should start focusing not on the outward world, but the inward world. We should learn how to deal with our own emotional problems and then encourage other people to do the same. Once we are able to heal our own wounds and flaws, everything we do will be right. And then once we can heal ourselves, we can heal others. That is my basis of my solution.